Hello, good day. Beautiful morning. Just morning, it's about 11 o'clock now. Another beautiful morning here in Ireland. What's the date? 27th September, 26th of September. And we've been quite lucky with the weather this year. Good summer, decent autumn. A couple of wet days, but we're bracing ourselves for the winter. It's our second winter here, and last winter we had a few storms, and it was a bit unpleasant to say the least. You know, we live at the top of a hill here, and you feel a bit vulnerable when you hear the creaking of your roof and things like that, but it was really bad. I think some of the worst storms in history here, but that was last winter. Maybe this winter won't be so bad. So, why Ireland? Why does an Englishman with roots in Yorkshire live there all my life, married to a Czech lady, why does she move here with me to Ireland? Obviously we're not going to move separately, but why did we decide Ireland? So it's a long story, but basically we reached an age, I'm early 60s and my wife is just about reaching 60. And we reached the age where we thought, well, we're still fit and healthy enough to do something a bit different, travel, live somewhere different. Why not give it a go? Now, we've had holidays in Scotland, Ireland, and we decided on Ireland. For various reasons. We love Scotland and we often wonder what it'd been like to live there, but anyway, we decided on Ireland because we thought we're still fit and healthy enough. We always have the philosophy that nothing is forever. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't. There's another reason. People are so friendly. We've only lived here a year and 16 months. This lad who's just driven past in a van, he built a fence around our field where we keep the greyhounds, and he's just become a friend, you know. People are so friendly, and if you go to a pub here in Ireland, you get all the information, you get to know people. You won't be able to sit in the corner and be quiet. People are so friendly. So, another reason we moved here, we didn't know how friendly the people were so much. We'd only been here on holiday, so we've only found out since we lived here. I mean, where we live, it's a rural area. In fact, very few people live in this area. I'll just quickly show you the sort of landscape we're talking about. It's very beautiful. Cows in the field. So yeah, I'm gonna give you my opinion. From my perspective, everybody has different ways of life and different reasons for living somewhere, and I'm just going to give you it from my perspective. And we've only lived here 16 months, so so it's very limited sort of information I can give you really. But anyway, here goes. So first thing, weather. Weather in Ireland, actually in the 16 months we've lived here, as I say, we had a terrible winter last year. We had very wet autumn, lots of rain, but the summer we had and the spring this year was very kind. Sunny, warm, even dry. Quite unusual for Ireland, but it was very nice. So if you move in from somewhere like England, it's not much different at all. I'll just show you this house here. This is an old derelict house, but it's a typical old Irish dwelling from I don't know how many years ago. I don't think anybody lives in that part now. The next part of the house has been modernised. I think this is probably used just for storage or something, but this is a typical old Irish dwelling. So, where was I? Next thing I'd like to talk about is cost of living. The cost of living in Ireland is quite expensive. I would say, and I'm looking at a perspective as an Englishman, I would say another 10% of the cost of what you would pay in England. It's not horrendous, but you do notice it a bit. No council tax to pay here, so that's good, but you have property tax and other little things that you must pay for. Going on to these things, one of them is healthcare. You go to the doctors and you must pay €60 every doctor's visit, which as I say, it's not cheap, but I suppose it cuts the queues down. And then if you need medication, you pay for that. It's similar to England really, that you need to pay for your pills. They have a different way here, but it's quite similar. The only difference I've found, because I'm over 60, I think in the UK it would be free, the medication, but here you must pay for it. So it's as I say, it's not horrendous, it's just a little thing, but it's something to know about. You can also have a health card if you're in certain situations, like unemployed or maybe very low wages. I think you get, I'm not entirely sure, and here we are, don't take everything what I say as granted. I think you get a medical card, and I think certain situations, as I say, you get this card and you don't pay to visit the doctor, you don't pay for your medication, so it depends which situation you're in, and everybody's different. Everybody's in a different situation. So that's the health care. No, I won't finish on that, because the thing is, when you've been to see the doctor, if you need any further treatment at the hospital, you'll be referred to public hospital, and often you've got a wait there, similar to in the UK. You'll maybe wait 6 months for a scan or something, or a year for an operation, so it's very similar. The other option is you can have health insurance, and health insurance, again, it's not cheap, it's the same as UK, it's quite expensive. I'll just stop here and show you a bit more scenery instead of me all the time. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. There's a forest there just behind our house. This forest, it's a huge forest, lots of deer, foxes, other animals, and that's the wildlife, you know, lots of wildlife, buzzards, really beautiful. Where was I? Hospital, yeah. Private insurance, so you can have private insurance, but again, private insurance is expensive and it has its limitations, so it's whatever situation you're in. If you can afford it, you'd get the best one. If you can't afford it, you either wouldn't have it or you get the cheaper version. So that's healthcare. I mean, to be honest, my wife had a problem. She had to wait about a year to go. It's about something with her eye, and in the hospital they were very good. She said lovely hospital, and people were very friendly and helpful. So I'm not knocking the health service here at all. Nothing to really complain about. So that's healthcare. Next thing, sport, maybe, if you like to watch your sport. Very big here in Ireland on hurling and GAA, which is Gaelic football. I've tried watching, it's quite a difficult thing to understand, but it's very popular here. Sort of, what do I say, a mixture of rugby and football. It's a bit like Australian rules. Football, that's the GAA. Hurling, something completely different. So look it up on your Google, hurling, and it's very much an Irish sport, very much, and very popular. And the players, it's also interesting. The players don't get paid. It's purely amateur, but the players are very dedicated. It's a very passionate sport. So yeah, that's hurling. So what else about Ireland? Beauty, the countryside, the peace. Look, I've walked down this road now, and while I've walked down we had one vehicle pass me. We often walk down here, I'll show you the road. We often walk down here with our dogs, or greyhounds, because training greyhounds you've got to go on long walks, and I was a bit not sure to come down here because I thought it's a road, but honestly it's very rare you see any vehicles. It's so quiet. In fact, I'll show you some of the beauty now where I'm walking. I'm just coming out of the darker area of the forest, and if you look towards that direction you'll see the mountains in the distance. They're called the Knockmeal Down Mountains, and when we travel somewhere we often just drive in this direction, and it is beautiful scenery. But I've been in the west of Ireland, the southwest, and it's even a step up. It's even more beautiful, if you can believe it. But yeah, so Ireland is a place of beauty, and a lot of people will say, well, you know, I live in the Yorkshire Dales, or I live in Cumbria, and it's just as beautiful. Yeah, it is, but it's not as busy. That is the thing. You don't get the tourists like you do in these beautiful areas of England, and the roads are so much calmer. It's beautiful. We've only lived here a short time. Obviously the tax system and banking system is a little bit different here, but if you want to complain about something, we could complain about taxes, but we can do that in whichever country we live, so it's nothing new. No, it's a lovely place, and now we have our greyhounds, we have something to focus on. We wanted to sort of blend into the Irish way of life, and we thought to have greyhounds we will meet people, get to know people, and we have done, and everybody has been good. Our closest neighbour is a farmer, and when our dogs were just puppies, our greyhounds, is a dairy farmer, he was giving us milk every week, basically for nothing, to help the pups, to help rear the pups, you know. And he didn't know me till we moved here, so but we've become closer to each other, and the family, good family, and this is what you get here. From Ireland to travel, we often travel from Cork Airport. Cork Airport, you can fly to England, to various places, Manchester, London, and you can fly to the other parts of Europe from Cork. Ryanair we usually use, which I must say people complain about, but we've used Ryanair many times, and there are other airlines available but we've used them many times, and they've always been good. Just got to be careful with your baggage and make sure you read all the things about baggage, but apart from that they do fine. So travelling from Ireland is really easy. If you want to go further, you go from Dublin. I know my son flew into Shannon Airport once, which is a couple of hours away. So yeah, that's travelling from here. It's quite warm now. I've got the sun on my back and it's very, very warm. As I say, we're in end of September. It's really autumnal time, but it's still very reasonably warm. So we'll talk about moving here, what to expect when you take the decision to move here. Depends obviously where you're moving from, but I'm going to talk again in my perspective. I moved here from the UK with my wife Hannah. I'll just show you this field full of cows. So nice. I've become very fond of cows since we moved here because we're surrounded by them. Lovely. Something very calming about seeing a field full of cows. You know, you just know that these cows have done the same thing for years and years. Nothing's ever changed, only the technology on the farm, but the cow itself, just the same. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, so moving here from abroad, I don't really call it abroad when I skip over the sea from England to Ireland. It doesn't seem far, but obviously it's a big move for anybody, whether you're coming from the USA or England or any other country. What to expect when you move here? I seem to remember when we first moved here, the first 6 months, no, maybe not 6 months, yeah, between 3 and 6 months, we spent having to sort out documents and things, and cars. The cars were a big thing to sort out, to get them registered with an Irish number plate. We had to jump through a few hoops. You have to go to the customs people and tell them that you've brought the car over. They'll send you to a centre where the car will get not analysed but checked over to see, for example, the engine and everything, engine size and all the details of the car, and then they put that into a bracket or a category. For example, we had 2 cars. We had which we still have, the Volkswagen Passat estate car, and the category came out basically the same here as it was in the UK. So we didn't have any tax to pay. I think we paid about €12 for something. It was very little. But then our other vehicle was really a problem. So take note, anybody who thinks about bringing over we had an Isuzu, one of these flat back sort of 4-wheel drive things, Isuzu D-Max. So anything, this type of vehicle comes under a different category. Comes under the category of commercial vehicle. So you do pay a huge amount of tax and customs and excise duties. We ended up having to sell it back in the UK because they wanted something like €12,000 to have it here, to have it registered here and have it going through customs here. They wanted a huge amount of money. So most cars, it's not a problem. But certainly if you've got a category, I think it was N in the UK, so it will be classed as a commercial vehicle here. So we spent, as I say, 3 to 6 months dealing with these things, and things that we'd brought over we had to declare, but it was really just time spent. There wasn't really nothing to pay much, apart from if we'd have kept the Isuzu here. I'm walking uphill now, that's why I'm panting a bit. So yeah, there's just that to watch out for. Buying a house here is very similar to what in the UK. You put an offer in, if it's accepted, solicitor, somebody to check the house over, and then that's it really. So it's nothing unusual. I suppose if you're coming from America it'll be different. What's interesting, a lot of people in England ask me, how can you move to Ireland? They're in the EU. But actually, yeah, it's true. They are. The UK decided, and in my opinion, stupidly, to leave the EU, but everybody has their own opinion. So technically we shouldn't be able to live here, but a lot of people don't know this, so don't tell many people, don't tell anyone that the UK and Ireland have an historic agreement going back many years, and that agreement stayed after Brexit, so it's okay for people from the UK to live here and people from Ireland to live in the UK, which I've come across many Irish people who did, and many English people who've moved over here. Actually, our village, we have a few different nationalities: English, French, German, obviously Irish. So there's quite a few. I'll just show you this view again while I catch my breath. Absolutely stunning. And these mountains over this side, they call the Comora Mountains. Moving here, you can work here, it's not a problem, and many people do. Many. I'm amazed how many times I hear an English voice in the shops. I'm not saying that I want to, but it's just something that I have noticed. And talking about moving here, immigration, it's a big subject in a lot of countries now. Certainly where we live, me as an immigrant, actually, there's not so many, but I'm a different kettle of fish. I don't mind the immigrants. When I lived in the UK, didn't bother me. In fact, we're all immigrants at the end of the day. I challenge most people out there, if they look at their past, they'll find a long way down the line, family tree, they'll come from a different country. So my opinion on this, I'm quite relaxed. I don't want to get political, so I'll stop talking about that, but there's a lot of Ukrainians here who moved when the war started and continued, and they've grown to have families here, children here at school. So that's that situation. In our spare time, with me and my wife, we've got bicycles now. I was never a bicycle person, but because, as I said earlier, the roads here are so calm, clear, it's quite a pleasure. If there's any cars coming, you can hear them from a distance, so you feel quite safe on the roads here. I know there's obviously people who'll disagree, but where we live, there's some very quiet roads. So we decided cycling, walking like I'm doing now, to keep fit. And yeah, it's all good. I think it's easier for me walking, because I used to run a little bit, but you know, the old knees take a bit of punishment all your life, and then when you try running as you're older, it's not very comfortable. So cycling, yeah, we've got a couple of bikes and we enjoy it. Sometimes we only go to the pub on it, but most of the time we cycle through the countryside and really enjoy it, especially on a nice warm day like today. I think we're going to go out this afternoon. Yeah, this is a problem everywhere. Japanese knotweed. This is an old house here. Again, another ruined house. Old ruined house, family house. I'd like to know the history of this place. Really old. The tree's grown right through it now. But I'm sure it's a very, very, very old house. Got a wooden lintel there. Some old farm, maybe, I don't know. If anybody knows the history of this house, just close to a village town. See the edge of the house there. If anybody knows, please leave it information in the comments. Be very grateful. So now we're walking back home down the lane where we live. Sometimes we see deer, foxes. They say badgers. I've never seen a badger, but they say badgers are in there. It is, they say it can be a problem. Farmers have a problem with TB. Having to get the cows tested very often. It's the same in the UK actually. But anyway, we're getting closer to home now, so I'm going to say goodbye. And if anybody wants any information about Ireland, drop some comments in the in just below there. Drop any comments and I'll try to answer them the best I can. I'll just show you, this is our field here, and I think you can see the dogs in the kennel in the distance there. Our two dogs. This is the field that they have now. Isn't it nice? Beautiful.